All right, everyone. It's Friday, which means it's another Q&A with Alan and Marshall. Alan has some personal stuff to take care of today. So our good friend Cassie Green with the Apparelist is sitting in today for Alan. Thank you so much, Cassie. So how are you doing?
Great, recovering after last week. And yeah, thanks for letting me sit in for Alan. I'm no Alan, but I'm going to try my best.
Yeah, well, Alan's Alan.
So y'all are some of my favorite people. So, hey, look, it's going to be great.
Yeah. So, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and we welcome you to our show. So if you're just now getting in, please let us know that you're watching and where you're watching from, what's going on with you. And don't forget that this is a Q&A show, meaning it's questions and answers. And so you supply the questions, or maybe we will, I don't know, but we really want you guys to comment and engage and participate, because that's what makes the show fun. And also, if you're watching right now, please take a minute and share that you're watching, because this helps drive our viewership. And, we want that kind of stuff, And anyway, so we're going to be chatting about Printing United and the Apparelist and different stuff. But Cassie, I think at the expo, if you're like me, you probably talk to 1,000 people, right? And there's all types of things that happened, women in printing awards and all education classes, and just lots of booths, lots of stuff, lots of people from everywhere. And it's going to be really fun to kind of digest and look back and go, what the hell happened last week?
Yes.
Right? So are you still like coming down from the kind of the expo kind of like craziness? And it's like, it feels good just to sit in my house and be quiet and not talk to anybody. That's how I feel.
Yeah. Marshall, it's so funny. I got home Friday night and had no voice all until Tuesday, maybe, just from all the talking and the interacting and just the chaos. And yeah, reflecting on what just happened, it almost feels surreal. So it's kind of interesting coming off of such a big, awesome show like that. So
yeah. So I'm the same way. I got in, and I think I didn't speak all day. I got it back on Friday. I think Saturday I said maybe 6 words.
That sounds right. Yes, 6 is really good.
So anyway, so we want to say hello to some folks. So Cindy's watching as usual. She might be in and out. Our customers here. Yeah, make that money, Cindy.
Yeah.
And so hi, Marshall. Hi, Cassie. And our good friend Sean's here. So good seeing you at the expo and hanging out and having lunch with you at that that DTG thing. That was kind of fun. So all right. So before we get going, okay, I really want to show you guys a video. Okay. This is from our sponsor, GSG. They have a brand new thing that they're doing, right? So they've got a specialty ink contest that I want you to make sure you're aware of. Okay. Their grand prize is $2,500. Okay. What makes this special, of course, is that it's from GSG, and they've got a bunch of stuff for it. I want to show a video real quick. And like, I don't even think, Cassie, you haven't even seen this video, have you?
I have not. So I'm just as excited as everybody watching this, and like kid in a candy store. I can't wait.
This is like 2 minutes long, so bear with us. And Cassie, just make sure my sound works, okay? But here we go.
I'm Mark Sodonic with GSG. Today I have some really exciting news. We partnered again with Avient Specialty Inks to launch another screen print contest. This year, it's going to be GSG in partnership with Avient Specialty Inks, Prints That Pop Special Effects Printing Contest. For this contest, what it will entail is you can use any of the Avient Specialty Inks Infinite Effects line of special effects inks in your design. Anywhere from 1 specialty base or specialty ink up to 2, 3, 4. It's up to you. Whatever you think you can accomplish on press, what is going to make your design really stand out. We really want to see the creativity that you come up with in a special effects design. As you can see here, this is the promo shirt that we did for this contest. In the next few weeks, you're going to see a how-to video in our applications lab on how we executed this design and incorporated 4 Infinite Effects specialty bases into this t-shirt. The exciting part about this contest for special effects printing is, one, going to be the prizes. First place is $2,500, second place is $1,500, and third place is $1,000. As well as we'll use all your garments at all the trade shows throughout 2024. We'll use them through our applications lab in some of our videos, and we'll feature them on all of our social media. The contest runs from October 16th, 2023, all the way up to December 22nd, 2023. So let's get your shirts in. And here's the rules of the Special Effects Screen Printing Contest sponsored by GSG and Avian Specialty Inks. You must submit 6 printed garments. You have to use at least 1 ink from the Infinite Effects line, and you can follow the link below that's going to have the full details of where to send your shirts in and the rest of the guidelines for the contest. Your written or video testimonials could be sent to the email address printsthatpop@gogsg.com, and we really look forward to seeing your submissions.
All right, so let me pop that. I'll make a new little thing here, and here's the link. I forgot. I'm usually. All right, YouTube, stop. Jeez.
We're just having a little dance party over here on a Friday. It's fine.
So here is the link. Okay. And so it's got all that information. Also, if you go to GoGSG, they've got a lot of information at GoGSG all about it. And so get signed up, earn that money.
Yeah.
Okay. $2,500. What could you do with $2,500, Cassie?
What could I do? I can tell you all the cool stuff. I'm going to go see a concert is what I'm going to do, like somewhere probably international, but I can only imagine what like screen printer, like this is awesome. Like I'm thinking about the cool prints. It's the money, but like I'm thinking about like getting your print out in front of people. Like how cool is that?
Right. I think it's going to be really fun. So they've got it all the way up until almost Christmas. So you've got time to design some badass print.
Oh, yeah.
Use their inks, get the ink, play around with it, make it perfect, send it in. Okay. And so you got to remember, you got to submit 6 shirts. Okay. And the reason why you have to submit 6 shirts is one, Alan and I are judging. So we get to see your shirt and we won't know whose is whose, and we're gonna like pick the ones that we like the best. So anyway, so here is the link. Get it going. This came right from that YouTube thing. So we'd love to see you get in there and show off what you can do.
Yes.
Right? So I think that's really great. So all right. So we got some more folks in here. So Charles is here. Good morning, Charles. And Josh is here. Good morning, Josh. Good seeing you, buddy. And Dean's here. Hey, Cassie. We were just emailing.
What's up, Dean?
Yeah, he's a nutball. Let me tell you. So all right. So let's get going with our first kind of topic today, which is really. You can't bury the lead, right? So let's Printing United Expo recap. So what from somebody who helped put this show on, right? Mm-hmm. What happened? What did you think? How did it go? Give us the lowdown.
Yeah. So I think kind of what we were talking about earlier when the show started, it was just absolute energy through the roof from the get-go. Obviously being on the side that, puts on the expo, so much work went into this. And I can't even believe it. Again, surreal is the word that comes to my mind. Watching it all come together last week in Atlanta was insane. And so from the apparel side, because that's where we are, that's where we live. I could not be happier. So a big reason why I joined, this team and became part of the Apparelist was to re-engage the decorated apparel community, really like get excited about it. And the conversations we had were just incredible. I think attendees were extremely happy. We put on a lot of really cool stuff for apparel's specific topics. So like Marshall, you were a huge part of a lot of our education that we did, specifically for apparel decorators. What's that?
Go figure.
Right. What, because like, let's just use your and Mark Coudre's AI panel, for example. I mean, look, a huge part of what needs to happen at a trade show or any industry in-person event is education. Like, that's not a secret. Like, that's a huge, huge drive to go to an event. And so let's bring relevant topics. So the AI panel was hugely successful. We got lots of great feedback. I know, Marshall, you had several conversations afterward. I had people coming up to me and being like, will you help me find Marshall's Instagram and the Midjourney, like link to the newsletter that you do? And like all these people wanting to know more. Right. And so we really saw that thirst for knowledge and people wanting to grow at the show, which is, I think that's success, right?
Yeah.
So
it was a lot of fun. I had a guy come up to me after that panel. I told you this just a minute ago, who was from New Jersey, and he told me that panel discussion was worth the plane trip.
Absolutely.
And so it's like, wow, that's like the best compliment I heard the whole day. It was really great. And, it was only 45 minutes of me and Mark. And let's not forget that Michelle Moxley was going to be on the panel. She had some travel issues and, airplane stuff. Right. And I saw her later that day. She was so frustrated that she couldn't make it because, this is her jam too. It's not like she's not doing any really great things. She's amazing at what she does. Right. And so I think if she was on that panel, it would have, like, remember Emma Lagasse, it would have been bam, kicked up a notch, just another level. Right. So.
Yeah. And that's what I love so much about like these panels, because it's not just like, I think you, Mark, and even Michelle brought something individually distinct to make it a more collaborative panel. So you obviously talked a lot about like Midjourney and graphics and things like that. And then Mark talked a lot about using it for like data and productivity and workflow and efficiencies and all these things. Mm-hmm. But again, it just exemplifies the emphasis that we put on, at the expo of like not only paying attention to what's happening now, but how can we grow into the future? What is it we need to be doing to get ready, especially now that we're almost to the end of October and rounding the corner into 24. Right. I mean, also a huge reason why we do the expo is because it helps people prepare. I mean, make a good business.
Right. Yeah. And so that was a really great thing. And then, of course, she had the Women in Screenprinting Awards. That was a lot of fun. And got to watch Adrienne cry because she was so emotional, because she's stepping aside and doing a whole new thing. I'm so happy for her.
Right.
To do her, she's moved on to DTF.com. And so that's going to be a lot of fun for her, and building that whole business up with the marketing. And so it was really great, and congratulations to all the winners of that. And and then also I thought it was a lot of fun walking around the floor, seeing some new products, some new ideas. I attended a press conference that Stalls had where they announced their acquisition of Fulfill Engine. That was kind of a fun thing to see. I got to meet Mr. Stahl, who I've wanted to meet for a long time, Ted Stahl. And so it was just, it was a lot of fun. And talk about like the attendance, talk about like, who did you talk to that were like brand new in the industry, or maybe a veteran that found this thing that they were looking for? Did you have any of those conversations?
Yeah. So one of the events that you actually attended, we had this forum, like a VIP lunch or an invite only lunch. And the majority of the people that attended that lunch actually are pretty new to apparel. So we had a lot of like implant printers, people who are printing for colleges and universities or for hospitals or whatever, who have recognized this need and growth opportunity to get into apparel. And so had several conversations with several implant printers, just learning about their business model, which is very fascinating, by the way. But also like, why are you getting into apparel? What are your goals? How many pieces are you looking to print? Like, are you doing print? Are you doing embroidery? Are you outsourcing? All these cool questions. And each of them sort of had a unique answer. But what it ultimately came down to is the reason they came to the show is so they could see which piece of equipment was going to be best for their business and also understand why. Like, you know, they a lot of them have researched the equipment, but then they actually got to meet the manufacturers, the suppliers, and even other attendees and talk about experiences with, okay, like, look, this printer does this, this, and this. Here's the benefits of this technique, whatever. And so there was tons of discussion for people new to apparel that we had, which was really cool. Again, I don't get a lot of FaceTime with like implant printers and stuff like that. So it was very interesting for me and for them. But then even for like veteran printers, it really seemed like a huge community thing where a lot of the veteran printers who know each other, who have good relationships, really went out and built new relationships with people new to the industry. And so that's also one of my favorite things about the expo is like, I mean, I personally hugged more people than I can count. And so, you know, we don't get to see each other in person.
Well, you know, it's fun also meeting people that you know online and you meet them in person, or you haven't seen somebody in 10 years, you know, and so you take advantage of these situations. What was, I think another thing I want to give a shout out to you guys is you guys gave Shirt Lab some space. So we had a networking breakfast Thursday morning for about an hour and a half, and that was a lot of fun. You know, we got to see some people we haven't seen in a while, and some people met for the first time there. We had some people who actually weren't in Shirt Lab that came by, and you know, and so it was good. I got to see my buddy Greg, you know, and I think he just logged in here. So good morning, T-shirt guys and gals. So got to see him, and so it was a lot of fun seeing everyone and talking with them, and kind of just hanging out with having some coffee and being relaxed before the craziness of the day started. I don't know if we're going to make that an annual thing, but I really think we should. So, carve us out some space, Cassie, you know?
Well, yeah. I'll say it, like partnerships are important to us. I mean, what you guys are doing is important to us, and we want to further push that out into the industry.
Good. Yeah. Thanks. Got some great comments. So Hurley's here from Canada. Good seeing you. And Dean doesn't like being called a nutball, but he is one. And but he had a great time at the show, and he highly suggests for anyone to go to Printing United or Impressions. There are two that you have to aim for. And Brian's here from Missouri. Good seeing you. Right. And and here's Greg again. Right. So all right. So what else? So let's also talk about, you had a hands-on lab where you guys were teaching people how to do stuff. How did that go over? So people are learning how to print and learning how to do different things. So talk about that a little bit. Yeah,
so you're referring to the apparel zone, which is where, you know, sponsors could actually have equipment and teach people. And we set up areas where attendees could sit down, watch demos, and then sort of interact with the equipment and all of the people there. So it was different pieces of equipment. It's not like we just had screen printing there. There was screen printing, there was heat transfer, there was dye sublimation, like every embroidery, everything was represented, because at the end of the day, again, it's smart to research, it's smart to make the phone calls, it's smart to talk to people, but seeing the equipment run is super valuable. And honestly, it's going to teach you things that maybe aren't necessarily talked about all the time, or things you can actually see it in action. And so that was really well received. As far as, you know, the classes that I saw that were happening in Apparel Zone, they were packed. Like some of them people were congregated around whoever was leading the demo at the time. People were standing, they were packed in, trying to get a glimpse of like equipment in action, which to me, again, just solidifies that thirst for knowledge, that people really just want to know, they want to learn. And so, I would say that was one of the highlights of the show.
Yeah, and also I know that, you know, if you're new to that technique, and let's just say heat press, for example,
Sure.
right? And you've got something that Dave Connors from Stalls is doing a little demo on how to heat press something, right? After the thing, you can say, hey, I've been having this trouble with this thing, and whatever leaves a board mark or whatever your issue is, and he'll give you, okay, this is exactly what you need to do, right?
Exactly.
And so it's that kind of experience where you can go and find somebody who is an expert and instantly solve that problem, because they you know, they encounter this 100 times a day. And I think the great thing about trade shows is access, you know, and that can't be pushed out enough. It's that access to the real hard piece of equipment that's right there. And like, look at the M&R Polaris, you know, they were printing, they printed 1,000 shirts a day. Every single shirt was different for 3 days straight. Okay. You're not going to see that on a YouTube video.
Right. Right. And
so what does that look like? You know? And so that was kind of like just the really cool things to see is stuff like that. Right. And then you can ask questions of the people running the machine, and you can see how they're doing it and how they're loading it and whatever. And how do you set the artwork up for that? And that's the fun part, is like that engagement, I think. Right? So.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And also, by the way, mind-blowing for both beginners and experts for some of this stuff.
And like Cornette was showing DTG with high density printing, which was really cool. Plus, not to mention fluorescent colors, you know. So, you know, there's just like, there's people pushing the boundaries here, right? And of course, that's going to make other people want to catch up and stuff. And, you know, like, it's just great. And I'll tell you what, I've been doing this since 1993, and we have such a great industry. And of course, there's some people who are sleazeballs or whatever, but most people are really endearing, and they're really warm, and they're really prone to share and, you know, and do some stuff. And so that really, I think, comes out at a trade show, because you just meet so many different people, and they're all about, hey, doing things and what's going on, and, you know, and that's the fun part, I think. So.
Right. Well, and it's so funny because I was having this conversation with my husband this morning, who is not in the industry at all, but he likes to hear what we're up to. And I was like, this is what like pumps our industry forward. Are things like this. I think you said it best. It challenges people to push the boundaries, to try something new, to get out of your comfort zone. Seeing it in action is just going to like feed that fire. Right.
Right. You know, it's funny that you say that. You know, my wife does not want to have another t-shirt discussion. Like, oh, it's about shirts. I'm out.
Right.
So, all right. So let's switch gears a little bit, right? And I got to set up for a minute. So what I want to talk about the Apparelist, which is your day job, right? And so while I'm going to introduce what that is, and I have to like get ready with the presentation thing. So why don't you talk about that for a minute, and I'll shut up, because I can't click and talk at the same time. I don't have that capability.
You're all good. Happy to talk about it. So Apparelist is Printing United Alliance's media arm that engages with the decorated apparel community. And so we're really built around the premise of education for your business, right? So it is super important to understand the step-by-step of a screen print. It's super important to understand the step-by-step of DTG and all of these things that are really great. But also really important to understand is, how do you keep your books? How do you set a business plan? How do you future forecast? How do you set a pricing model? All of these things go into making your business successful. And so we really recognized a need within the industry to tie and marry those two ideas together. How do we do the technical aspect? How do we do the business aspect? So what you're seeing here is our home screen, which by the way is redesigned. So if you've been following Apparelist since its beginning in January 22, this is a slightly different look. So we brought a different look to be more engaged with everybody. But you can kind of see there's great things here. We've got the connected threads video, which we drop once a week. That's like a way to update you on not only the headlines, but some of the top pieces of educational content we think you need to read. And then you also see technical articles like this cheaper isn't always better article about, specifically why you shouldn't be buying cheap tape and why you shouldn't be buying cheap screens and all this stuff and how it affects your production and all of these things. But then you'll also see the video from Aaron Montgomery talking about pricing mistakes. So,
I was on his panel. I was on the panel.
Yeah, which is a huge component and we constantly talk about, but which constantly needs to be talked about. So again, how are all of these things married to make your business successful? You have to understand everything, and that's why we're here.
And I want to show everyone this. So here's me, right?
Yes.
This is the panel with me and Mark on AI. And look, it's the back of Davis's head right there. I think that might be Sean Lefebvre right there. I can't tell from his haircut, but
I'm almost positive that Sean was also sitting front row. And it's really too bad you can't see Davis's jacket because he printed it using AI, and it is so cool.
Yeah.
But again, this panel happened at the expo, but then we wrote a recap because there were so many good key takeaways, and we realized not everyone can make the expo. So, and it is a way to connect people to you and to Mark and even Michelle Moxley, to connect experts. That way you can ask questions. You do Q&A with Ellen and Marshall. So same thing. We want to make sure that people have access to the resources to answer their questions, which is also a huge driving factor behind Apparelist.
Right. And here's also a recap of the state of the decorated apparel industry.
Yeah.
So what is this about?
So and I'm glad you brought this up because this is hugely important. So we, since launching Apparelist, have started a specific state of the decorated apparel industry survey and report. So we call it the SOTA report, which is kind of an easy way to remember it. But this is basically just an examination of how taking the pulse of the industry, right? So Andy Paparazzi, which you can see in that picture, he's the Alliance's chief economist, and he is the one gathering this data, and then we sort of work in tandem to talk about what's key. But what makes this survey important is it's going to help you, again, predict some future trends, understand what your peers are doing, get a good sense of what equipment you need to have in mind or how you can growth, and just examining, business opportunities. A lot of this is also how the global economy is affecting apparel decorators. So one of the key highlights from this that I want to kind of pull out here is respondents in the survey said most desired capital investments include e-commerce capabilities, heat press, DTF, operating cost inflation, moderated but ran ahead of price increases. So again, how do things like inflation affect apparel decoration businesses? How do things like supply chain and sustainability affect businesses? And by understanding what your peers are doing, you can have a better sense of what you need to be doing.
Right.
So you'll see a lot of numbers in there too. And by the way, the survey is still open. So
there's a link. There's a link right here. If you find this article, there's a link right here. So just click live and you can take the survey.
Yeah.
Okay. And also here's an interesting point here. And it's something maybe you guys should think about. This is all about existing decorators, but we have so many people flooding into our market that, how do we track what they're interested or where they're going or where they're thinking? How do we get a hold of them? Because I think, that's something that we should take note of. Like, are they, we have an industry, Cassie, that the cost of getting into the industry is virtually nothing. Like, you could get a Shopify store and have other people print for you for almost free. You can get a heat press set up and work out of your basement or your kitchen for, a couple grand or whatever. And, and then you become a garage printer and then you keep growing and growing and growing. And then in 2 seconds, not 2 seconds, but with some work, now you've got 6 autos or something. That's how everybody starts, right? So right now, why are people choosing our path? That's something I really would like to know.
Yeah. And, once we, close the survey and really dive into that data, we're going to be able to speak to that because those are important questions. And also interesting is just yeah, why are people getting into it? But then how are they diversifying? Because like you said, you can start as like more of like setting up that Shopify account and employing contract decorators, but then how do you elevate to the next level? You know, so those are all things. So we are, again, still open. And if you do participate, once we do close that and like organize everything, put together the full report, as a participant, you'll get access to it.
Right.
No brainer.
Right. Hey, got some comments. Let's get them going. So Davis says worth the trip. It's fun seeing him. Yep. Karen says en route to Kentucky, listening in. I guess you guys have a race you're doing. That's cool. Dean says that Polaris never fails to amaze me. Our booth was right across from it. It was a constant draw, pumping out incredible prints all 3 days. Stuff like that keeps me stoked for the future of DTG.
Yeah.
Kitson says yes, the biz of decorated apparel, of course. Sean says yes, that was his head. Dean says, is a slide from that soda show available on the site or for download somewhere? Yeah, just go to the thing, right? And if you take the survey, don't you get the results?
Yep. Take the survey, you'll get the results. And I am not sure a specific date that we're closing that. But yeah, you will get a copy of the results if you participate, and it'll be made available to Alliance members as well. So if you're a Printing Unite Alliance member, you will also get access.
So if you don't take the survey and you're in the Alliance, you get it.
Yeah, you got to be a member of the Alliance.
Yeah, but you should take the survey just for general principles about engagement and participation.
Correct. I mean, we all look, we all want the industry to be better. We're here to lift the industry. Best way to do it is to participate in trade shows, in surveys, in like all conferences, all this stuff. So.
One of my founding tenets of running my personal business is you must be present to win, right? I like to go places because let me tell you, you never know who you're going to meet, what you're going to hear, the conversation you're going to have. It's worth the money to go. And of course, I've been to places where that really didn't work out, right? But on the odds of it, on the, like most of the time, it's a really good thing to do, right? And I also try to do non-apparel industry events. This last year, I went to 2 that weren't in this industry at all, just to learn, right? And so that was that's how I'm keeping new information shoving into my brain is stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I want to make sure that point doesn't get lost, because I think that's really important, and I hope that everybody who's listening to this takes something away from that, because that is so valuable to learn things beyond what we just do in our day-to-day.
Well, for example, let's say you do construction worker stuff, right? Do you go to the construction trade show, right, to understand, one, what are their problems are, but also what are these people wearing? Are they still wearing Columbia fishing shirts, all the supervisors, or are they moved on to something else? Because that'll tell you where they're going, right? It's just take note. What are the colors? What's the decoration? What do they have? Like finding a new source for ANSI certified safety reflective vests or something. Right. These are the important things, right? You can't maybe do that from your office chair because you're not there, right? So, go to if you're doing stuff for restaurants, go to the Restaurant Association trade show. If you do stuff for, high schools, there's probably a high school coaching association golf tournament, sponsor the par 3 hole. Right? These are things you guys should be doing. So, all right. Got a great comment here from Dean. Sean, excuse me. I do the surveys as soon as they are sent. The information is super valuable for us for planning. That's great.
That's good to hear. I'm glad to hear that.
All right. So we want to run our commercial for GSG, and we want to thank them so much for helping us out and sponsoring our show and everything. And I want to share my screen real quick. So if you go to the Pulse, okay, you can see, this is gogsg.com. They've got a banner that does some different things. And of course, they've got all types of ads, one of which is for their Pulse magazine. And I just want to quickly highlight that. This is the thing that you can have access to with all types of deals. You get, they have sales. They got QR codes that you can download some information. And I think this is a really great benefit for our industry. So please check it out. Just go to gogsg.com and find Pulse and click on it, and you can access all this great information. So huge shout out to GSG for sponsoring our show. Thank you very much. And that's awesome. So keep it up, guys. All right. Third topic. Do you remember what it was?
Was it Q4 in 2024 and future? Yes.
Q4, exactly. Q4, right? So we've got a couple months left of the year, right? You just talked to 1,000 people, Cassie. What are people going to be doing? What are they concerned about? Is it Black Friday? Is it holiday? Is it just surviving? Is it the recession? I mean, what's on top of everybody's minds for the last 3 months of this year?
So a couple things. So I first want to touch on, again, this diversification thing. So pulling numbers from that State of the Decorated Apparel Industry survey, again, preliminary numbers because it's not closed yet, 76.9% of respondents have already diversified beyond apparel. Okay. So
promo, what is that?
Promo. Yep. Mostly promo product printing. I would say that's the big one. Some people into wide format. So like into like that cut and sew or textile
like
printing.
Banners maybe.
Banners. Yep. Things like that. But high engagement with promos. So
I know a lot of t-shirt shops that do car wraps.
Yeah. Yes. I live in Denver and there's a couple of print shops here who do both.
Yeah. Well, it's just like they want to like have everything, right? So they do car wraps, and it kind of aligns with their core business because they do a lot of B2B stuff.
Yes.
So they're wrapping that van and outfitting the uniforms at the same time. And it's all, and what they're selling is business marketing. They're not selling the decoration. They're selling that they're experts in branding for your small business. And that's what they help you with, right? That's kind of their shtick. So,
yep. So we're seeing a lot of people already doing that or getting ready to do that to sort of close out Q4, but also to do some future planning, because again, you brought it up. There's sort of this looming recession talk. Again, it has sort of been hanging over our heads all year.
I don't even know if there's a recession. Let me tell you, everywhere I go, everything is packed. People are spending money like crazy. Yes. I think people are just, you know what? Gas is crazy. The eggs are crazy. We're just going to spend more money. But at the same time, we're going to work like bejesus to try to make more money. That way we can buy our stuff. I mean, like I'm on an airplane once a month at least. The airplanes are full, right? The airports are full. The restaurants are full. When I go to, I was just at Costco the other day, right? Yeah. You can't even, we got there when it opened. All the parking spots are taken. Are we in a recession, really?
So
I don't think so.
That's what I wanted to comment on, because even though there's sort of, people keep saying it, 53.3% of our survey respondents expect business conditions to improve, and they are either in the process of making a capital investment they already have in these final months, or they plan to do it in like January. So it's like people are spending money. And listen, I'm not an economist, and I don't even pretend to be an economist, but look, all indications are pointing toward business is still cranking, everybody.
You know,
like
I need a magic 8-ball here on my desk.
Right.
So here's what I think is, you know, I talk to a lot of people, right? And I think that from what I hear, the people who have if we build it, they will come methodology of running their business where they just wait for the phone to ring, they're not having a good year, or they're down a little bit. Yeah. The people who are out hunting, who are out, their sales team are making phone calls, and they have an on-purpose mentality, and they have a focus of who their ideal customer is, their ideal order, and they're on purpose going out there and getting that sale done and bringing it back to the shop and getting it going. They're having fantastic years. So I think, you know, the question is, okay, where are you on that spectrum, right? And then also, have you looked at new markets? And so some markets might be down a little bit, right? But other markets are booming. So are you thinking about, you know what I need to do? I need to do something a little different. And I say this all the time. if you want different results, you have to do things differently, right? What got you here, where you've been, right, may not be the solution to propel you forward. You might have to do something slightly different or try something new or whatever. I talked to Alan last night on the phone, and he was telling me he was just at a shop that sold all of their screen printing equipment, and now they're going to be running all DTF. That's it.
Yeah.
They're just going to be DTF. And why are they doing that? Well, they're doing that for numerous reasons. And so they what they did is they started small. They did some testing. They added some more equipment. They did more testing. They ran the numbers, and it got to the point where this makes total sense. Let's move.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that was really bold of them. Okay. But what does that say for the rest of the market? Is this going to be a big thing? What are we doing? And there's somebody told me something, Cassie, at Printing United, and I don't have the numbers, and maybe you don't either, but somebody said there were over 80 DTF printers on the floor for sale.
Interesting.
Do you know if that's true?
I would have to double check that because I don't want to commit yay or nay to whether that's true.
I can't commit either. But you couldn't swing a dead cat without hitting a DTF printer for sale. Okay, they were everywhere, right? And that was really interesting. And some of them are better than others or whatever. And I'm not going to get into that. I don't really endorse things much, but it's just one of these things where why are people interested in DTF, right? Well, let's look at our orders are moving. It's all print on demand. They're online stores moving to a unit of one. They're all smaller and smaller orders. Also, we have such a labor shortage here where we can't find skilled people to run that $150,000 screen printing press. But I can get a soccer mom or a part-time college student to do the Panini press and do a heat transfer, right? Yeah. And it's a decorated shirt. And do our customers really care that it's printed, or they just want a really good looking shirt by Friday? What's going on with this? And I think this is questions that I think these are existential questions. I think that everybody business owner needs to be asking themselves, where are we going and what are we doing? And of course, screen printers don't like DTF because it's not screen printing. And we've spent a career learning to print. Okay. But guess what? Does your customer care? Here's something that is true. Absolutely true. Earlier this year, I bought a house, right? And so we bought a house. And guess what we need now? Because we have a new house. We need new dining room furniture. So we went and bought some new dining room furniture. And then after we did that, my wife goes, "Hey, let's run into Old Navy real quick," right? And of course, I'm not enthusiastic about that, but I go anyway because I like being married. And we go in there, and she's doing her Old Navy, whatever. And what does a t-shirt guy do? I go check out the t-shirts.
Evaluate. Right? What does it look like?
Look at the shirts, and I'm pulling, and I'm doing everything like we always do, right? Half of the prints at Old Navy were transfers.
Probably all of them.
Okay, yeah. So what's going on with that, right? And it's not like Old Navy can't get screen printing. Why are they doing that? And I don't know the answer to that, but this is if they're not selling, they're not on the shelf. Okay.
Yeah.
So I just think it's really interesting that I think the market has shifted, that transfers were like the crappy thing you got at the mall. Okay. And now they're accepted. Right. And I know a lot of people don't call them transfers. They call them heat applied graphics, just because it sounds cooler. So what are your thoughts of that? Am I just nutty? I mean,
no. I mean, clearly we are seeing a huge push for, let's just say digital and transfers. Yeah, we're seeing a huge push for that. Whether it's driven by the sustainability initiative of getting to create custom, unique one-off pieces, and you're not having to hold mass inventory and avoiding that, what you said, like if it doesn't sell, it just gets wasted. Is this a generational thing? So I've been chatting with a few people who have really dived into the generation study of buying groups and things like that. We could speculate all day long. And look, we are also seeing people make heavy investments in screen still too. Okay. I know of several shops that have just invested in lots of screen equipment. So look, there's a place for everything, but I think what you said is you have to evaluate what's the best method for a given job. You're right. The customer is probably not going to be able to point and say, this was screen printed versus this is transferred. But and you're the expert, you as the apparel decorator have to make that decision. What is best for your customer for the order? What is going to give you the best possible outcome? Whatever that is, you have to be the one to evaluate that, which is why you want to stay on top of new technology, new trends. Yes, we are seeing a huge push for digital, still seeing a huge demand for screen as well. Like, look, I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm wearing a concert t-shirt right now that was screen printed. Okay. Like, it's screen printed. I bought it at a concert because like, I'm a huge supporter of this particular artist. So you still see a huge demand for that. Right. But am I sitting right here holding a transfer shirt? Yes, I am. Because it was the best decoration technology for this particular project, right? And so we see a lot, but we are seeing a huge push for digital. We are seeing a huge push for, lowering the inventories. It might be a little bit harder to predict future trends, but because you have access to things like DTG, DTF, and heat applied graphics, you can sort of react better to these quickly changing trends where people are like, I want this, but then 2 days later, like, no, I want this now, So it's hard, but we are seeing this.
Yeah. So got some comments here. Let's get to them. So Greg says, if you control the art, you can own the customer relationship. True. There we go. Wrap it, print it, modify, and grow. About wraps. That's great. Sample, of course. Mm-hmm. If they can't see it, they can't buy it. And our good pal Davis says, not just accepted, exceptional, and of course he should know that's all that guy does. Right. So,
right.
Anyway, so I think it's very interesting. I think, DTG is not going away. Screen printing's not going away. DTF's not going away. What I think is going to happen in my prediction is that we're actually going to be growing in market share. We're going to be growing as an industry as these new technologies come more online and become more mainstream. We're actually going to have more business because there's more use cases for things. And and this is where I think is going to be really interesting is we're going to see things move faster. And I think this is, how is AI tools like Midjourney or DALL-E 3 or Photoshop generative fill, these online stores, the ability to get things faster, the ability to hook up these different tools. So we can do more with less people, with more automation, have it more fine-tuned to our customers. I think this is where the future is going to be. And a lot of this stuff, the automation and the software does it for you, right? Yeah. And so it's really incredible, and it's an exciting time. And somebody was asking me the other day, it's like, what is with you with this Midjourney thing? I mean, it's like, just would you shut up about it? I'm like, well, no, and here's why. It's because I'm old enough to know when computers came out, right, and became mainstream. I remember when the Macintosh debuted, with that great 1984 commercial, and so it's like I was doing everything by hand, which is where the term camera ready comes from.
Yeah.
And then, hey, the guy that was printing my shirts for me, because I was contracting some stuff out, said, hey, why don't you come in during the Christmas break, holiday break, and teach yourself this new thing called Photoshop. And so I started doing that. I was in graduate school at the time, and I never went back to school. And I started 1993 as the art director for this company. And there you go. Right. And that changed my whole life. Okay. Right. And it's because what used to take 2 days to build was now a couple hours. Mm-hmm. And now with these tools like Midjourney, what used to take a couple hours is now 15 minutes. It's insane. And, I was on a call yesterday. With Davis, actually, and I was showing his art team, and they had a project they were working on. And I just showed them how to do it, 144 different images for their client in under a minute.
Wow.
Okay. And so were all of them perfect? No, but some of them were pretty good, right? So how are we using these tools to actually do things for our clients is the question, right? That's what I'm really interested in. We're Mid-Journey or AI or ChatGPT. This is where our future is. And are we turning the corner, or are you just saying you feel threatened by it, right? And what's up with that, right? So I know you want to talk, and it's hard for me to shut up. So
no, it's because I'm actually wanting to point to something. Okay, so two things. A, Marshall has done an article for us about AI. He's a regular contributor for Apparelist. So if you're on Apparelist, just search his name. You'll pull up all his articles. Yeah. But something that you said, Marshall, during the AI panel at the expo was like, A, don't be threatened by it because it's not taking your job. You still have to prompt it right. You still have to filter all the images it's giving you. How do you elevate that image to really be unique and custom to your customer and their needs, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, what we're really also seeing in Q4 and going into 2024 is the need to be better than your competition. And look, your competition is doing all of this stuff, right? And so how are you taking AI and using it to automate your processes, be more efficient, create better art, do all these things? Because use the tools you're given to be better. It's no longer acceptable to just sort of coast along and, yep, I can do that. No, how are you going to take the customer's project, make it better? Are you going to invest in new equipment? Are you going to invest your time into learning AI? Yeah. You have to, but in a smart way. Evaluate which is good for you, but you have to put the time in.
Yeah, right. Hey, we got some comments, and thanks for the shout out on my article. So Carlos says, hey, Carlos. Hey guys, I love the use of replacing a couple of misprints, and of course, I think he had an extra F there. Rush orders, right? Yeah. And it says definitely a good tool to have around. Greg says, you remember Vital laser type? Yes. And Carlos says he remembers too, right? And I was the king of the proportion wheel. If you don't know what that is, and stripping taking my things and putting the wax on it so I could, thank God we don't do things like that. Thank God we don't have to mill our own flour to bake our bread, because that's what it felt like. Okay. So, all right. So do you remember our last topic? We got a couple minutes left.
2024 something.
Emerging trends.
There you go.
Almost. Yeah. So other than what we've already talked about, what are you seeing? What are some trends that you think are going to be sticky for next year, right? So we just spent a lot of time in Atlanta talking about this stuff. What do you think?
So we've kind of already talked about equipment, all right? We've talked about direct to film, which again is going to continue to be huge going into 24, even DTG. So we've already talked about that, print on demand, that equipment side. And so because we've already talked about that, I kind of want to touch a little bit on the fashion and blanks and colors and all that side, because it's equally important. What's interesting is I just wrote an article for the upcoming Printing United Journal issue, which it hasn't even gone to print yet. So just keep a lookout for it, right? But in talking to my sources for that, it's very interesting because it used to be like, okay, just wait for the fashion houses and the major retailers and New York Fashion Week and all of this stuff to tell us what the trends are. And then we're just going to buy 5,000 bright pink, Barbie pink box cut crew neck t-shirts, right? That's really not happening anymore. So we are still seeing big things happen like that. We are still seeing neutral colors are still a huge thing. Like people are definitely gravitating towards softer neutral, browns, off-whites, blacks, all that stuff. We are seeing a trend toward more heavyweight again, t-shirts. So it seems like we're seeing that. But really what it's coming down to is the way to stay on top of trends is to pay attention to global events. So let's just use Barbie as an example. There was tons of hype leading up to it. And obviously we saw hot pink just explode everywhere. Everybody was buying hot pink merch. Everybody wanted glitter. Everybody wanted the glam. So really what we're seeing and what apparel decorators need to pay attention to is what are going to be these big global economic events or big national events or whatever. And then how do you react and stay on top of that with like just in time inventory, working with your suppliers to make sure you're stocked ahead of those kind of things. So we're really kind of seeing a reaction to big global events and things like that it will determine the trends. Again, obviously 90s still a big deal. Everybody's like obsessed with 90, which is really funny because that's my childhood. So basically everything I've been keeping in my closet since I was in high school is coming back. And I'm like, everyone's like, it's new. I was like, it's not. I wore this in 2005 in high school, but so, some trends we are predicting the 90s, the neutral colors, the sustainability, things like that. But again, pay attention to global events, pay attention to what's happening around you nationally and regionally. And then how do you use those events to build a good apparel campaign for your customers?
Right. That's great. And aside, I graduated college in 86.
Okay. Yeah.
I remember the 90s well.
Yeah.
So, all right. So anyway, I think that's all great. But here's a trend that doesn't, it's not about a shirt. It's not about ink. It's not about equipment. What do you think it is?
Not about ink, not about shirt, not about equipment. I don't know, Marshall, you got me. What?
It's outsourcing labor using virtual assistants and other folks, right?
Love it.
A lot of people have a hard time getting a lot of things done, right? And so a really huge trend right now is getting a team of folks somewhere else on the planet that can work for cheaper, right? They're still as skilled, they're still as talented, but guess what? They're on the other side of the globe doing things for you. And so you've got companies like Seps.io or Graphic Source, or you also have my friends at Legacy Virtual, which are great at virtual assistants for the industry. Mm-hmm. You have people who are setting up people to do tasks, and the tasks that people are doing is what I call chore tasks. So let's just use an analogy here. So every day, or like in your house, Cassie, somebody's got to take out the trash. Mm-hmm. Somebody's got to cook dinner. Somebody has to feed the dog. Like, we're doing these things all the time, right? Uh-huh. It doesn't have to be you, right? So in your business, we have chore tasks that always have to be done. We want to post on social media. We need to create a video. We need artwork done. We need somebody to put the order in. We want to create more online stores, and we use a template, and it's just about getting the colors and the logo in, right? A VA is somebody who can do all that for you. Okay. Yep. And so I have a VA. Her name is Lyra. She's a badass, right? She actually helps with the show. She lives in the Philippines, right? She's worked for 2.5 years, right? Mm-hmm. If you see social media posts for me, newsflash, I didn't do that. She does that. That's what her job is, right? She helps me create content. She helps me with this show. She populates my podcast. She does stuff for Q&A. She is my gal Friday, and she's awesome at it, right? And so and she works for Legacy Virtual. You should look them up. They're great. But if you don't want to use them, don't use them. But the thing that I want to show here is that these are the folks that can help you succeed, because they're doing this stuff so you can take that highly valuable time that you should be spending doing other things, like making that sales call or going to that trade show or whatever. Because here's what I hear all the time: I don't have time. Okay. And my rebuttal to that, Cassie, is, oh, you've got the time, you're just not prioritizing your time correctly, right? And so think about that. So to me, an emerging trend is really offloading a lot of the stuff to people who can handle it for you. Is there an expense to it? Of course there is. Okay. So there's a fantastic book that came out 2 years ago or so, I think, called Who Not How. Okay. So if you want to figure out how you can resolve some of these things in your business or in your life, for example, don't think about how I need to do it. Think about who can do this for me.
Mm-hmm.
This is where VAs come in, right?
Yeah.
So,
I love it.
all right. So Dean says 2005 in high school. I'm even older than that. I graduated in 82 from high school, Dean. So there you go.
Listen, it is what it is. All right. I'm a child born in the 80s, but child of the 90s. Come on.
Yeah, I'm practically dead. All right. So Kisa says, hey, Kisa, love my virtual assistant. So happy with Legacy. There you go. There you go. Endorsement.
There it is.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an emerging trend I think I see. And I think another one is really looking at things that are catching on and trying to do them faster. And so there's some equipment at the show. Lawson had a heat press rotary. Rock has one now. And I think more of the equipment manufacturers, you might see this, where you've got multiple heat press units. You can apply the heat press on the garment and do that, heat press multiple shirts at once. Stalls had just a fantastic thing. I don't know if you saw it at the booth where they were projecting the image of the heat transfer down onto the shirt so you can apply the heat transfer and it lines up perfectly. So one of the big heat transfers really don't have any errors. If they do have errors, it's because they're crooked or, it's not 3 inches from the collar or whatever. This completely prevents that. Another cool thing that you can do is you can load the shirt. It has the thing projected. You get the transfer down, you heat press it, and then without taking the shirt off the platen, you spin it around to the other side to apply the other side, and then you take it off, right? Yep. So this prevents you from having to load that shirt twice, which I thought was great. And they've partnered, of course, with Fulfill Engine. And so there's this whole back end thing with your web page and all types of tools and shipping and everything. And I thought that was just really incredible. But you saw that Stalls has this on their dual air fusion. They got a new little, and I can't for the life of me right now remember what the thing's called, but it's like this projection system.
Yep.
It's somebody help me out here, but it's this thing. It's really cool. And I'm having a brain fart here. I can't remember it, but it was really nice and neat, right? So I think people trying to maximize their downtime with this newer technology, and I know Dean's watching, right? They've got pre-treated shirts out, right? So that you can you don't even need to pre-treat them. You just put them right in your DTG and print. These are all examples of emerging trends where you're trying to get production out faster. So I think we're going to see more of this. Any other thing you want to add to that?
No, I mean, you basically covered it. And we did get a really cool picture of the new Stalls thing. Again, it's on our site. The Hotronics Dual Fusion Pro Place IQ.
There you go. I knew you would know. There you go.
But it is really cool.
Yeah.
But look, yes, that was a really cool one. Listen, Rock put out a lot of really cool stuff. You mentioned that again, the flares, Rock, everything. Yeah. It's everything. We're seeing it everywhere. It's how can we do this quicker, more efficiently with fewer body, whatever. So I think you covered it.
So that's great. Where are we on time? Oh, we're a little over. Okay. So, hey, thanks everybody for watching. Let's just get a couple more. Alan says, thanks, Cassie, for filling in. And Carla says, if I was you, I'd be worried. My friend, she crushed it. And so Alan doesn't have anything to be worried about. It's not the Cassie and Marshall show. So
no. Alan, you should not be worried.
Cassie, is the Soda Report slides that were shown on the show available to view? I think she answered that. I think they're not available yet, but will be when the thing closes, right?
Yep. So Dean, if you want to reach out to me directly, you can. But so I would say start with the article that we have on our site. Again, we're not fully sharing finalized numbers yet, just because it's not closed yet. And then, yes, Andy did present slides at the show, which I can see if I can get access, but you really don't need them. That article, that wrap-up article we have, really covers what was shared on the slides. So I would read that article and then participate or be an Alliance member so that you get access to the final results, because that's really what you're going to want.
Good. And one last comment. I would love for everyone, if you're not currently a member of Shirt Lab Tribe, please join our mastermind group. It's $99 a month. It's for every single person that works for you in your shop. So you got 10 people, $99 divided by 10. If you got 30 people, it's $99 divided by 33, right? So it's for everybody. We have live Q&A Zoom calls every Tuesday and Thursday. I do the one on Tuesday, and my friend and partner Allie does it on Thursdays. She's a Lean Sigma black belt badass, by the way, and she'll straighten you out in 2 seconds. And we also have a lot of private stuff for Tribe. We do a lot of fun stuff like the networking breakfast at Printing United. Plus, we have live events, plus virtual events. There's just a lot of stuff. Somebody asked me the other day, why should I join Tribe when I can get the same information for free on Facebook? And I'm going to tell you the answer is you can't.
No. No.
If you think you're getting real information that's valuable to you from Facebook group, you're crazy.
There's some, but definitely not the caliber you all offered. Not
right.
even
So
close.
Anyway, $99. It's not a whole lot of money. It'll pay for itself in about 2 seconds. So please consider joining. If you've got any questions, you want to have a phone call with me about it, happy to talk. All right. So, all right. Last minute things, and then we're out of here. So where are we? Alan, how you using up your jewelry game?
I can help with that.
Yeah. And Lon's here. Hey, Lon.
Oh,
Cassie's awesome. Dean, perfect. Thanks. And Kitson said, Alan says, Greg Kitson, 100%. There you go. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate you, Cassie, for stepping in, and everyone for watching. You guys are awesome. Cassie, you get the last word. Anything you want to say?
Just thanks for having me, Marshall, and thanks all of you for listening. Please reach out to us if you have questions. I love having direct conversations with everybody, so happy to chat anytime.
All right. All right, everyone, have a great weekend, and we'll catch you guys next week. See you.
Thanks, guys.